Hello, can I ask for a few minutes of your time? I'm Carl, and together with my groupmates, we would like to give you a boost of knowledge in terms of the most abundant resource that we have, water. We all know water is everywhere, but would you believe me if I say that there is more to learn than what we know about water? Come and discover it with us as we make the basic water cycle that we know a little bit complex and specific with Jerome. Afterwards, let's not forget that there are anthropogenic effects on the water cycle. Roselle would help us learn more about why we should refrain from damaging our water resources. The next would be the so-called invasive species. Luckily, John would help us discover the different aliens of underwater and how they affect the ecosystem. And last but not the least, epigenetics, a very interesting field that would be discussed by Ruby on how we humans act as aliens on the water cycle. Come and join us in this watery adventure as we learn different things that would answer the question, are we humans invasive?
Biogeochemical cycle is a term that refers to a cycle by which a chemical substance is turned over or moves through the biotic and abiotic compartments of Earth. Elements within biogeochemical cycles flow in various forms ranging from the non-living or abiotic components of the biosphere to the living or biotic components and back. In order for all living components of a major ecosystem, like say a lake or a forest, to survive, all chemical elements that make up living cells must be recycled continuously. Biogeochemical cycles can be classed as gaseous, in which the reservoir is the air or the oceans, and sedimentary, in which the reservoir is the Earth's crust. Gaseous cycles tend to move more rapidly than sedimentary ones and adjust more readily to changes in the biosphere because of the large atmospheric reservoir. Local accumulations of carbon dioxide, for example, are soon dissipated by winds or taken up by plants. Sedimentary cycles consist of a solution or water-related phase and a rock or sediment phase. In the solution phase, weathering releases minerals from the Earth's crust in the form of salts, some of which dissolve in water, pass through a series of organisms, and ultimately reach the deep seas where they settle out of circulation indefinitely.
Anthropogenic effects. Taking good care of the water is an important priority of every living being, as we always depend on it, from body hydration to hydroelectric purposes. If it happens to be mixed with harmful microorganisms or chemicals, it will cause the water quality to deteriorate and will be harmful and toxic to every living. The anthropogenic effects of the water quality may greatly affect human health, environment, and even the world economy. In terms of health, polluted water may cause different illnesses such as diarrhea, fever, cholera, and could even cause death, depending on how deteriorated the water is. Polluted water itself may kill more people than violent events. This is why water quality is a great world issue that needs to be resolved. And for the economy, the anthropogenic effects in water can negatively affect the economy. It directly impacts sectors such as commercial fishing, commercial businesses, tourism, and even property values, all of which rely heavily on clean water.
Invasive species, also known as alien or exotic species, that significantly harm and disrupt the ecosystems where it colonizes. Invasive species expand through migration due to the activities made by the other species such as human activities, where it involves global commerce and the pet trade are considered to be the most common ways for invasive plants, animals, microbes, and other organisms are transported to a new habitat. Many invasive species destroy habitat, the place where other plants and animals live. Some invasive species cause great harm to both economic and agricultural productivity. Invasive species can also have severe impacts on human health, which serve as a carrier for human diseases and are poisonous or caustic to humans. There are three main methods used for the control of invasive species, which are biological, mechanical, and chemical. Biological control is the intentional manipulation of natural enemies by humans to control pests. Mechanical control includes mowing, hoeing, cultivation, and hand pulling. Chemical control is the use of herbicides. Invasive species in the watershed can have significant effects on water quality and aquatic ecosystem health due to the ways on how they affect the bank stability and the volume and pollution levels in runoff. To be invasive, a species must adapt to a new area easily. It must reproduce quickly, it must harm property, the economy, or the native plants, animals of the region it affects the ecosystem.
In addition to the previous topic, there are more factors that affect the water cycle, just like the human intervention or human impact to the environment. We can all agree to the ubiquitous knowledge that human activity greatly affects the hydrological behaviors of the planet. In addition to that, humans continuously shape the environment to meet their certain needs. However, there are negative consequences that comes in line with this. Take for example, urbanization. Greater the population or buildings, greater the impact towards water cycle. When it is raining, pavements in developed areas causes the rain to pour much quickly, and this only means that the natural water cycle is impacted by buildings and sealed surfaces and causing the water to collect pollutants from streets, rooftops, roads, and other developed plants, causing flood control stations to channel water directly to waterways, making the bodies of water polluted and unsafe. Unlike in forests or natural lands, trees and roots soak the rain and filter water into soil. That means that the natural lands minimize erosion and pollution in the water. If we look into it, this is just a simple example, but it greatly affects the environment, specifically the hydrological behavior of the earth. What more if we go on to the much worse anthropological activities such as industrial activities where companies and buildings discharges oil and dumps garbages on bodies of water. Or worse, even occupying a large area of water in order to build big infrastructures and companies. It is sad how people can negatively affect the water cycle or the water itself, despite that being our main source of daily needs and considering the fact that it helps us get through our days, because without it, we would not be able to survive at all.
According to the United Nations, around 8 million tons of plastic are thrown out to the world's oceans every year. This report on plastic waste only scratches the surface of how much humans pollute the water. Looking at the statistics, it is safe to say that human species are invasive to their own environment. However, if we were all to do our part and protect the marine environment, we could change that. We can help prevent water pollution by lessening our plastic footprint and by promoting proper waste disposal. We could even go further and participate in cleanup drives or by supporting environmental organizations. This way, we are doing our part into protecting the different bodies of water. In behalf of our team, we would like to thank you for watching our video. We hope you learned a lot from our different speakers. And lastly, remember, the future is in our hands.